It's Monday, June 22nd. Surviving the pandemic so far until we got a very personal topic. And it's going to be over Gacha games, the whole Gacha industry, which in my opinion is poison. It's cancer and it's killing the game industry. So let's get into it. So game developers are looking for a way to make more money off of their customers because they figured, you know what? It's not enough for a customer to buy a game at retail value. We have to find more ways to profit off of this. And so several years ago, as we saw with, let's say, Fallout 3, we saw the introduction of DLC. It comes at a price to add more content to the game. Some games, I would theorize, hold back content and release a partial, release of the game, and then they release the DLC, which in my opinion should have been in the game in the first place. I think that a full game should be made and released. You should pay retail price, and that's the end of it. You shouldn't have to pay any more for it at that point. But they've done DLC and they charge for it, and it became a thing. And it wasn't too bad because for a lot of games the DLC was good, and as it evolved, then came along the Gacha industry. So these games are called free to play, but ironically, these free to play games are the most expensive games. That's one of the things that you all have to realize about that industry. I'll give you an example. With one of the worst offenders, one of the most poorly developed predatory games, leeching off the franchise is based off, developed by that scum Gumi. It's Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. Oh man, the fact that people still play this game shows you that they're so backward and so complacent with the trash this game is. So as the gacha system evolved, this game came around, and they came up with the idea of weekly bundles. So you can pay money for weekly bundles to further enhance your units. And they have special bundles, and these can go for as high as $50. And the payoff is not even worth it. A lot of it is even like comes down to like randomness. You could pay $50 for a special ticket that will give you a random unit that could be bad. So that's 50 down the drain. This is gambling. It's gambling, and people who are playing this game who do not have gambling habits are developing gambling habits, and they're being taken advantage of. And we've heard horror stories of people that are playing gacha games who end up losing all their money and bankrupt because this company leached off Final Fantasy and used the fan base to squeeze money out of it. And the families kept coming back again and again and again because, it's Final Fantasy, so it has to be good. But the thing is, no, this game ruined a lot of lives. I played it when it came out because my brothers were talking about it, and all three of us quit because it was garbage. They don't try at all in the story. In fact, a lot of it rips off other things like Star Wars. The content is very repetitive. It's almost like a chore, like a type of slave labor. It's not even fun. For example, they have these things called story events where you got to go through this level by level dungeon, and it's the same thing every single time. You just fight waves of enemies over and over and over. You meet very specific and obnoxious requirements to get certain types of power-ups that you need. And then when you get to the end of it, you gotta fight some boss that requires like 40 chests to be. And then you win, but it's like, so the next story event comes in. It's literally the same thing, just with a different cutscene with poorly made dialogue, poorly written out storytelling, cringy, edgy designs. They didn't try. It's a free-to-play game, so in their idea, they don't even want to try to make it a good game. And so, they also introduced Arena, where you can fight other players. It's one of the most broken, unbalanced things you'll ever see, because the people that put the most money into it have the best chance to win. It's pay to win, I guess you could say. The game is in a way. And so that's where the whales come in. A whale is somebody who spends a lot of money on gacha games. These people are, in my opinion, all of them are mentally ill. There is no reason why you should be paying thousands of dollars for one game. It's just, I can't comprehend that type of backwardness and that thinking style to waste your money like that in a game that tries so little to be good for the sake of just pumping and pumping money out of you. And people say, oh, you got to thank the whales because they're the ones that are keeping the game. No, we don't got to thank the whales. Look, this company, Gumi, that develops this game, they are constantly getting caught manipulating and deceiving their fan base to just to pull money out of them. You know, like if you were to look up the scandals that have been involved with this game, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, there's so many. And yet the fan base just tolerates it and they keep coming back and coming back for this poor half attempt type product. There's a guy called Evil Laughter that does content for the game. The guy has been sent to mental hospitals. The guy has been literally mentally ill, been suicidal. Sorry again. She's been suicidal, and yet he keeps coming back to the game when it's obvious that the game is not mentally healthy for him. And I think a lot of people are in his situation where they need to drop this game. This game is not fun. The grinding is obscene. The grinding is manipulated. There's an event where you gotta grind to make weapons better, and they didn't even code the game correctly. So people were grinding and paying money to grind for the best possible results when they weren't even possible because there was a mistake in the way the game was coded, and the Gumi fixed it and gave the players this really crappy compensation that it was not worth what people wasted to try to grind this. And the story mode's horrible. It's horrible. And then the raids are cancer. You gotta fight the same boss over and over and over and over. There's no fun in this. How can you have fun beating the same boss 2,000 times? For the sake of grinding points to get these mediocre rewards and then use the points from the raids to get these chests where you, like, they're so rigged that you get the crappiest results possible. I just don't understand the appeal with this game. At least I don't. And then there's the summoning. Oh, the summoning. One of the black pills of gacha games is that they rig their banners. It's obvious. Some banners that you pull on, you seem to do really good in. Other banners that you pull on, you seem to do really bad on. My theory is that these banners are rigged. When the big hype banners are getting released, they're rigged. You know, there's no other way to say it. So these banners, you have to pull on them with your hard-earned resources, and you get a chance of getting them. But you also have a chance of getting off banners, units that are not on the banner that you weren't even going for. And the rate to pull good is rare. So if it's wasted on something that you didn't want, it's pretty bad. And they introduced a system where if you want your character to be the best possible, you got to pull it 4 times. So you have a summoning system that's already horrible, and they want you to pull the unit 4 times. No way. There's no way you can consistently keep doing this unless you put money in the game, and that's what they want. And it's horrible that it came to this. Like when I used to play this game, I just realized that this game was a waste of my time. This isn't a game that is to play to have fun. It is a game to grind mindlessly, endlessly. It's basically a job that you hate. But people, because they're so loyal to the Final Fantasy franchise, they dealt with it and they just kept on going with it. And a lot of people crashed and burned. And the game is still going, and it's just complete garbage. And now they have a new one called Visions that came out. That's basically like the predecessor, I guess, to this game. And it's even worse. The grinding is even worse. These aren't games. These are not games. These are scams to pull money out of you and use your love of the franchise to sink you in. Stick to the classics, man. Stick to the classics. Stick to AAA titles. Play the 90s classics RPGs. Don't waste your time with these games. There's other ones like Langwizard. Langwizard is much better because you can build any unit almost and do the content with those units. Whereas Brave Exvius, you kind of have to ditch the units because the next week you gotta pull for the most powerful units, and then you gotta drop them when you get those to pull on the next banner for the next powerful units. In Landwizard, you can beat the content all with like the original cast, the original characters, but the grinding is so demanding. If you play Landwizard, there's 2 points during the day for 1 hour where you gotta grind joint battles, and you gotta do dailies, and you gotta do 5 arena battles, and then on the weekends you gotta do PvP, which it could take hours to do PvP. And again, PvP is pay to win. The people that spend the most money in these games are the ones that win. And in Landwizard, it just sucks. Like, you spend all this time building your characters, making them good, but you lost because some dude that put in $10,000 into the game made the units broken, and there's nothing you can do about it. And the meta is broken. People just want to use the same units. Where is the originality in the game? And in the events, it's the same thing. Just mindless grinding to build up points, to pull on loot boxes that are random, can give you garbage. So the rewards aren't even worth it. So I dropped the game. Because as a free-to-play player, I hoarded a bunch of resources. And I pulled on a banner that was hyped big time, that I knew was going to be rigged, but I wanted to just go ahead and dive into it. And I wasted so many resources, I quit on the spot and never came back. Now, there are some games that are much fairer, like the City of Final Fantasy on the Opera. That is the only gacha game I've seen where it's actually fair, and it's not that bad, but you have to be careful what you pull for, I guess you could say. Somebody just sorry. So in other words, the whole gacha thing is toxic. Those games need to be shut down. They're bad for the gaming industry. They're not even trying to make a good story or a good game. They're just trying to leech off whatever franchise they're based on to pull as much money as they can off their players, while they just barely even attempt to make a good game. And there are too few exceptions to justify the existence of the gacha system. So please, just don't play gacha games. Don't do this to me. And screw Clake, the bootlicker. Hal, the bootlicker. Dara the legend, you got what you deserved. And Nitro Glycerine from Landwizard, you're doing a good job, but we can see that the game is beginning to really draw upon your mental health. Like, these games are really like driving people mentally insane. The boss fights in Brave Exvius, they're like 4D chess where you have to like memorize all these things, and one little mistake. No, like the old school RPGs from the 90s, you learn as you go, you adapt. They're much more funner. So please don't play gacha games. Don't ruin your life like others have by trying to play these games.